Hello friends. My name is Kamran Namtaz and this presentation is the requirement of energy and environment course which is instructed by the Dr. Mahaburi. Talking about the general introduction, this presentation is aimed to analyze and compare the energy resources contribution to greenhouse gas emissions and the government projects to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions of the three different areas. The first one is the third, the second one is the Nunavut of Canada, and the third one is the Cape Verde of Africa. Talking about the first area, which is the Tharparkar, that is situated in Sindh, Pakistan. The history of that coal finding is basically the drilling that was conducted by the British Overseas Development Authority and Sindh Arid Zone Development Authority in 1991, and that was the first time that the coal was introduced there. The second one is the availability of the coal. Third basically holds the 175 billion tons of proven coal reserves, and it's 16th largest in the world, and it's scattered over the 1432 square kilometers. Talking about the description, third coal is basically divided into 12 different blocks, and there are different investors and different reserves. The total reserves is basically 175 billion tons of coal. Talking about the greenhouse gas emissions and environmental impacts, we all know about our course knowledge that the coal power plant basically contributes to the environment, have negative impacts of the environment by releasing the carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and some of the particulate matters. And this Tharparkar scene is also known as the massive cluster of coal mines and the power plants. Well, the greenhouse gas emissions from the Tharparkar do have the negative impacts of the negative impact on the environment, the air pollutant from it, and the basically the 3,000 air pollutant from the uh, air pollutant emissions from the plant and the mines would expose estimated 1 lakh people of 1 lakh people. It impacts basically the 1 lakh people of that area, and other is basically 3,000 people which was affected by the release of the particulate matters. The health impacts also have some negative impacts over the inhabitants, that are the 40,000 asthma emergencies, and the 19,900 as the new cases of asthma in children, and 3,200 preterm birth. Well, all these basically measures do impact the national goal of Pakistan, which is the voluntary contribution of overall 50,000 or less carbon dioxide emissions reduction of the projected figures by 2020. Talking about the analysis of the coal, which is basically the moisture content, ash content, sulfur content, fixed carbon, these all are basically the analysis of the coal, out of which is most important one is the sulfur, which is the 15 to 35% in all 12 different blocks. The fixed carbon ratios also different from different blocks, which basically impact and contribute to the negative impact on the environment. Well, talking about a little bit detail about the greenhouse gas and environmental impacts, the estimated 1,400 kilogram of mercury is released per year, which is the one fifth of that is basically goes in the cropland, which will be consumed by the inhabitants and have the negative impact of them. 5,000 ton of particulate matters are also released per year. It is also one of the studies. uh, Nine different power plants are basically proposed. Nine different power plants are proposed. Of the total capacity is 3,700 megawatt hours, and 990 megawatt achieved till 1st of October 2022. All these plants are basically built on the local coal of the Thar, which do contribute to the which do have the negative impacts of the environment. One of the studies suggested, one of the study, it is clear from the one of study that 1 megawatt hour electricity of production by coal do release the 960 kilogram of carbon dioxide, 156 kilogram of methane, and 1.7 kilogram of SO2 sulfur dioxide, and 0.72 kilogram of nitrogen. If we do multiply all these with these megawatt hour figures, the emission release will be the very high. So this is basically impacting the Pakistan the national goal. So if we do talk about the coal production and the coal utilization in the coming years, that's in the 2023 the Pakistan will use the coal 24 million ton of coal in the power sector, and then again in the if we do project it in the 2030, it will jump up to 44 million ton of coal production in the power sector. Well, all these are basically the gas or greenhouse gas emissions and environmental impacts. First, then we will talk about the provisional level measures, that is basically applied to mitigate all these greenhouse gas emissions. The first one is the wind energy, the second one is solar, the third one is hydrogen fuel, and the fourth one project is basically the electric public transport. All these projects are, some of them is completed and all other are pipeline. The wind energy project which is already completed, and the solar energy which is in the pipeline, hydrogen fuel that is in the third block 6 which will be completed, or which is just under discussion, and electric public transport that is also under discussion, and that is also under discussion and will be completed. All these projects will basically mitigate or reduce the greenhouse gas emissions in greenhouse gas emission that was basically released from the mining and the electricity production from the coal.
Hi, my name is Adit. The area which I am today going to present is Cape Verde, formerly known as Cape Verde. So it is an island of consisting of 10 islands, which is located in the central Atlantic Ocean. It is a very small population, nearly around 550,000 people. So living on island mean that it is a off-grid community due to which they don't have due to which they have their own power generation. The main company which supplies the electricity in Cape Verde is Electra. There are few some private companies, but they just support one or two islands, but the majority of the area is being covered by the Electra. So the Cape Verde itself doesn't have any fossil fuel sources, due to which it becomes the net importer of the fossil fuel importers. We can see that 80% of their system is running on renewable energy sources. Their imports were from Portugal, Netherlands, Italy, United States, and Malta. In 2020, it became one of the largest importer when imported the fuel worth of $320 million, and the remaining 20% of system is being run on solar and wind. So using that much of fossil fuels have a great contribution to the greenhouse emission, as we can see in the graph that it hit peaks twice, but in 1980 when it emitted more than 250 tons of carbon dioxide, but in 2010 it exceeds the amount of 600,000 tons of carbon dioxide per year. After that, they were not the new government policies were being implemented because they have some of their environmental packs, which include storm, flood, drought, short rainy season. Majority of the residents are living near coastal areas, due to which they have the vulnerability of sea level rise. So the government just implemented new policies which they intended to move towards the renewable energy sources, but they were not being consistent. But after 2020, they were able to imply these policies. Now they have the goal to become 50%, they want to run their energy resources, their electrical generation 50% on renewable energy sources by 2030, and by 2050 they want their electrical production totally 100% on renewable energy sources. So let's see the renewable energy potential in that area. As we can see that in Cape Verde, around 80% of the land population has the ability to produce 1.6 to 1.8 megawatt of power, and this same goes for the wind too, where they have the capability of producing around 260 watt per meter square of energy. The wave and the geothermal energy are being under considered because they have high potential for wave too, but new ways are being devised to for the production for the extraction of energy from these sources. So here are some few pilot programs which were being run by ECOWAS Center of Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. The first one was Planeto Note project, in which they aim to supply electricity 24 by 7 to a village in which there were 50 families. So they deployed a small solar power plant there, and same goes for the Arabia Alta project, in which they aim to give the electricity to around 110 houses. So these were the few small projects which were being deployed all over the Cape Verde. So what they are planning for the future, that renewable energy and improve utility performance project just received the funding from World Bank, Global Infrastructure Facility, and Canada Clean Energy and Forest Climate Facility, that they will pump up these projects, aiming that they will totally convert on the renewable energy sources, and they want to improve their energy generation up to 3.6 megawatt per hour, and they want to provide clean, independent, and affordable energy to the Cape Verdeans. Thank you.
So here I would talk about the Nunavut province. It is one of the largest provinces of Canada and very sparsely populated, and it has 25 communities that are living completely off grid. Uh, it does have fossil fuel reserves, crude oil and natural gas, but it does not have any commercial production right now at the moment. As far as availability of the fossil fuel is concerned, in order to meet their energy demand, what they do is they import refined petroleum products in the summer month and store it in local tank forms so that they can use in the winter season. So the energy demand, Nunavut is completely dependent upon the refined petroleum products. The largest consuming sector is the transportation sector, followed by industrial and then commercial and then residential. Uh, and it is small populated area, but it does have GHG emissions, significant GHG emissions. Uh, the greenhouse gas intensity of electricity generation in the province is 800 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour, as compared to the national average, which is 110 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent per kilowatt hour. The GHG emissions does have environmental impacts, and these are the observations. These impacts have been observed, like the Arctic temperature has increased since the last century. Patterns and amount of rainfall, sea level is rising. Sheets of ice are melting, while wildlife has been affected, and permafrost too, which causes erosion or which speed up the erosion. So, in order to tackle the climate change, the government is implementing some renewable energy and energy efficiency projects. One of them is Kuvalik Hydrofiber Link. It will connect Manitoba's renewable energy grid to the Nunavut, and it will this project alone will meet the Nunavut GHG emission target of 2023. Some other projects are being going on. Their feasibility reports are have been are being discussed right now, like solar and wind power. Uh, Energy efficiency project, district heating system, renewable energy homeowners growth program. These are the projects that will urge the locals to produce their own renewable energy and get rid of the diesel power plants. In conclusion, all of the three areas that we choose are going forward with the renewable energy projects. Each area has its own potential for the clean energy. If I talk about the third of Sindh, Pakistan, it is emitting carbon dioxide, but to compensate that, the government has just installed wind farms in the nearby area, that is Chimpi. When it comes to Nunavut of Canada, uh, it has a polar climate and a very harsh winter, so it does not have any potential for the solar. So what the government is doing is, um, there is an organ project that is Kavalik Fiber Link, and it will connect the Manitoba's renewable energy grid uh, to the five communities of the Nunavut province. Same as I mentioned earlier, Cape Verde of Africa, it does have huge potential for the solar and wind, and the government is having a roadmap to implement large-scale solar and wind power projects. So all the renewable energy projects will help in reducing emissions and will also help us in achieving the net zero emission targets of 2050.